I'm a lawyer. But saying something about your immediate family is quite a different story. At the end of the day, I have had the benefit of growing up in a wonderful family. I've had the benefit of a liberal education. And my father used to say, at least you should impart something of knowledge to those that are younger than you. I believe that no human being is greater than the tradition he comes from. That his individuality is secondary to his place in society. My father was born in a small family, a large family actually, in a very humble circumstances in Trinidad in the West Indies, which is a world away from France. He was number 16 of 17 children. My grandfather came from the Northwest Frontier province in pre-partition India. Those of you who know your history, there wasn't such a thing as India or Pakistan. It was one India, one Bharat, one homeland for the people of India. My grandfather turns up in the West Indies around 1901, 1902 with his elder sister. And he is there. We don't know the reason why. I suspect, but I've never gone to investigate it because I'm afraid I'm going to dig up a very ancient blood feud. I'm going to open a door with so many horrors, so I've kept that shut. However, my grandfather was exceptionally good looking. And you can see that from France. And my great-grandfather saw him and he said, this handsome young man I must have as a son, as a husband for my daughter. It was a little bit complicated because my grandmother was already married. She in fact was married, that's the truth. She was actually married to a man who was a wedding singer. Now you know, at weddings, they have somebody comes to sing, just like in Jewish weddings. Indian weddings is just a similar sort of thing. And they didn't like it because he was always here, there, and everywhere. So they couldn't trust him. In a sense, they didn't really trust him, if I'm being honest. So in the end, they brought an end to that, and then they married my grandfather to my grandmother, and the product of that was my father, number 16 in the line of 17 children. The reason for this story is that marriage is a very important thing. It's an institution nowadays that is not very much in favor, and I'm very glad that France and Samantha have actually made the effort to do this. It's an institution that is very important. Every single society in the world, whether you go to the Inuits in the farthest north, or you go to the people in the Congo, the little pygmies in the Congo, they believe in that relationship. And obviously our tradition, because we're basically Indo-Europeans, marriage is a very, very important thing. Our greatest epic, or one of the two great epics, the Ramayana, is basically the story of a marriage. And the loyalty of a husband to a wife, and the loyalty of family to each other. Now, I don't know if you all know the story. Do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah.
Remember, it's an epic that is 10,000 verses long, but I'll try to condense it. In the story, there is a virtuous king. And the virtuous king, in those days, of course, kings would have many wives. And he had 3 wives. But the son of his first wife was Rama. And because he was the wisest, the most intelligent of the others, he was expected to be king. But the younger wife, Kaikeyi, was jealous. And she wanted her son, who was named Bharat. Incidentally, Bharat is the name of India. Bharat to be king. So she went to her husband and said, look, remember when you were injured fatally on the battlefield, you made me a promise that any wish that I asked you would grant it. He said, yes, I will grant any wish. She said, well, okay, I want my son, your son, but the youngest son, Bharat, to be king. And he says, surely you're not asking this of me. This is not what you're asking. And the wife said, well, isn't a king's word what people trust on? If a king doesn't keep his word, who is going to keep his word? So he said, all right, extracted his outer things. And he said, okay, bring Bharat, let him be king. The younger brother heard the story. And he became very upset because he knew that the situation was being maneuvered and it was completely wrong. So he went to his elder brother and he said, you are the rightful ruler. Give me your shoes. And he took the shoes and he put it on the throne. He said, you will rule, I will just be the regent. You will be the ruler. I cannot sit in that room. It's not mine. The other wicked thing that the youngest wife said is that you must banish your son for 14 years. And of course he's banished into the wilderness and 100 other different things happen. And then after 14 years he comes back, and then that's celebrated in India, what is known as the Festival of Lights. When the rightful king comes back and takes the beautiful thing about the Ramayana is not just so much the exile and the loyalty of one brother to another, to obey his father, but at the same time not to betray his brother. It's also the story of the youngest brother who actually goes with them into exile and protects his brother and sister-in-law for a very long period of time. What that story really emphasizes is the importance of family, about loyalty, and about doing the right thing, even when everything in the world is wrong. Why is that story relevant for today? Because families are important. In fact, family is the only thing that's important at the end of the day. The family is the basic unit of any society. We, at our peril, try to destroy this unit by creating all sorts of concoctions. I'm sorry, it's not going to work. Please, as we celebrate the marriage of Franz and Samantha, we are celebrating something that is very old and very ancient and very human. And we should feel uplifted, as I do, because she's following the tradition of my ancestors and she's following the tradition of her ancestors. And I think it's one of the most important things you can do. We don't do it for our convenience, not merely because of love. Yes, love is the, how can I put it, is the spark. But there are a lot of things happen after that. The woman you marry as a wife transforms into something else when she becomes a mother. In my respectful opinion, the mother then becomes almost a goddess in your mind. Something that is extremely holy because she's the begetter of life. Please, in celebrating marriage, let us respect women. Let us be grateful that they are women and be grateful that we will have the next generation. Because without women, you are nothing. Honestly, without women, you are nothing. I want to tell you two stories again. It's also important. In North India, 300 years before the birth of Christ, a man called Alexander the Great marched his armies and he crossed into the Punjab and he was met with the famous King Porus, and I think everybody knows the story of Porus. Porus was brought before Alexander with his hands behind his back. So Porus was a giant. He was a man about 6'6", very formidable. And Alexander looked at him, how do you want me to treat you? And Porus said, I am a king. And Alexander was stunned. This is the man he defeated in battle, but he still had lost his dignity. And you know what happened? One of the greatest friendships that is ever known. If you treat people as how, and you act as how you want to be treated, people will treat you with respect. If you act in a stupid and foolish fashion, people will not respect you. At least have the dignity of who you are. If you defeat somebody in battle or win a debate, that doesn't mean you're better than another human being. It means you've won that particular debate. This is an important lesson to learn. But the story is this. As a conqueror, you can go into North India and people are still called Sikandar. Why? Because of the character of the man. Character is so important. Character cannot be bought. Forget about your Bill Gates and your whatever his bloody name is, that guy from South Africa. Those people cannot save the world. They will never save the world because they have got no basic morality, they have no basic vision. They don't care about family. They're not going to go anywhere. Who generates the economy? You think it's the rich people? It is ordinary people every day who spend their pennies, their rupees, their whatever it is, their krona. Now it's the euro, of course, but whatever it is, it's the ordinary people spending money that creates a society, that creates things. And the thing that holds society together is the family. So what I'd like to ask you, so raise your hands, raise your glasses, and say, good luck to Franz and Samantha. I think we all need give advice. I try in my own limited capacity to try and live up to an ideal instilled to me by my father, who's still very dear to me. I was very fortunate to have a very wise father. And I hope I do him homage today by mentioning him and my family and those that came before me. They are very important because when the story is told, this is the interesting telling of it. Not me, Franz Khan or Sadala Franz Hassan Khan. Because Sadala is my great-grandfather's name on my father's side. Franz is the name of my grandfather on my mother's side. Hassan is my personal name. Only those who are very close to me can call me Hassan, as you know. And Khan, of course, is the name. Perhaps the greatest surname that the world has known. Or why have I left the best for last? People think Genghis Khan was a mindless killer. He wasn't actually. Those he killed deserved to be killed. In life, there's a good and bad. There's right and wrong, and there's evil. Nietzsche wrote a wonderful book called Beyond Good and Evil, but Nietzsche was a cerebral philosopher of the great, perhaps Europe's greatest philosopher. If you cancel Nietzsche, you may as well cancel Europe. Forget about him. Become slaves to other people. That's a matter entirely for you. But I'm not going to do that. I'll come back to the point again. Genghis Khan had a great love for one person in his life and respect. You know who that was? His mother. And I'll tell you two stories about them. When Genghis Khan was a young man, his wife was captured, as was happened on the steppes of Central Asia, and was taken away. So he had to recapture his wife. How was he going to do that? He had to get arms, he had to get men. And the people of the steppes knew one thing about Genghis Khan. He had a great affection and respect for his mother. He said, okay, we'll give you men and arms, but in order to do that, we must have some guarantee. And the only way you're not going to make a mistake, hand us over your mother. And the only time the scourge of God wept was when he handed his mother on a horse, laden in all her finery, and took it, says, you can hold her safekeeping, I'll keep my word. He slaughtered the people who took his wife, brought his wife back. And you think that would be nice, but his wife had been gone for more than 22 months and she came back with child. But Genghis Khan was shocked. This is not my child. What is a man's natural reaction? But to reject a woman. And then again, this is why I think Genghis Khan is at a level even higher than you so-called modern people. His mother called him aside. He said, son, what has happened to your wife is not of her doing. Treat him as your son. Genghis Khan had 3 other sons, so 4 of them. The chroniclers tell us that he respected that son as much as his son of his own blood. That was the man that we call Genghis Khan. I'm very proud to carry that surname. The point is, act honorably in life. Sometimes life doesn't deal you a nice deck of cards, but at least be honorable in the way you discharge your function. So people will say, at the end of the day, he may not have had money, but at least he had something about him. And that is why, personally, I love Alexander, I love Genghis Khan, and I love my tradition. And I hope that Franz and Samantha will bring up their children to love their tradition and love who they are and try and promote what is best in their traditions. And on that happy note, I would say good evening to you all, and once again, congratulations, Franz and Samantha. Thank you.